Hello and welcome to part 2 of my 6-year anniversary Q&A video, and yeah, let's continue with your questions. The next questions come from Bouncer86 and he says, "Hello Garyon, here are my questions. Number 1, will you ever make a review of the Commodore Amiga 500, and if yes, when?" Now, as I already had said in part 1, I really wanna review the Commodore Amiga 500, but I can't really tell you when this is going to happen. Maybe I'm able to make this review this year. If not, then it will definitely come next year. But I can't tell you if I actually manage to make the review this year, because I mean, we're in the middle of 2016. I already have planned some of the projects that I wanna do in the near future. The next 2 reviews I have already mentioned are going to be video game reviews. Then there's also Halloween, which is hopefully also another video game review that I'm gonna that I managed to do. And yeah, then let's see. So again, hopefully I'm able to make this review this year, but if I can't make it this year, then it will definitely come next year. Next question. How long do you think you're gonna continue with the Retro Gambler? I actually don't know it. I mean, I can give you a short answer. I'm gonna continue with the Retro Gambler as long as I have fun doing it. A long answer, yeah, I mean, there were a couple of times where I thought about, I just wanna quit, because it's really a lot of work, and also doing every review in 2 languages is also pretty tough, especially if you do this for year after year. And yeah, but I'm not really, I'm not at that point where I would say that I wanna end with the Retro Gambler, I wanna end with my YouTube career or anything. But there were some times where I thought about it, now I'm gonna quit, but in the end it didn't happen. And I think if I ever would quit with the Retro Gambler, I would make just a video about that, and where I would say goodbye or anything. But right now I'm not planning on stopping with the Retro Gambler. So right now everything is okay, and hopefully it's going to I can continue with the Retro Gambler for some more years, maybe even for another 6 years. Let's see what happens. Okay, next question from Bouncer86 is, do you own an Xbox One or PlayStation 4, and which one do you prefer? Now, I own a PlayStation 4, and the reason why I've chosen the PlayStation 4 is basically because I thought about it for a long time, which console I wanna have from this generation, and in the end, after some long thinking, I came to the conclusion that the PlayStation 4 is the best choice for me, because the Xbox One, I wasn't interested in controlling my TV or anything with voice control or anything. Then the Xbox One was too big compared to the PlayStation 4. I like the design of the PlayStation 4 and everything. So also I've looked at the exclusive titles, and on the Microsoft Xbox One there was Dead Rising 3, which I was interested in, but on the other hand, on the PlayStation 4 was Killzone. In the end, Killzone wasn't that great. Killzone Shadowfall, I'm gonna talk about it also in this video, I know it. But in the end, I've chosen the PlayStation 4 because I thought, and I still think, that it was the best choice from those systems for me personally. But I don't say that the Xbox One is bad or anything, but yeah, this is the main reason why I've chosen the PlayStation 4. Next question, what is your opinion on the PlayStation 4 Neo or PS4.5? Honestly, I don't know what actually my opinion is about this new system right now, this new model of this system, because E3 just happened recently, and I've watched a little bit online, and I've watched the press conference from Microsoft and also from Sony, and then I've also read a lot of things about the PlayStation 4.5 or PlayStation 4K or PlayStation Neo. Don't know which it is, which name is going to be the definitely one, but I guess it's PlayStation 4 Neo. And on the other hand, you have from Xbox, you have the Xbox One, then they're gonna bring out the Xbox One S or Slim, and next year in 2017 they wanna release the Xbox One Project Scorpio. And this is something, I guess this is a new thing, at least right now, in the video gaming industry, because before, with all the other systems, you either had different revisions of models, which already happened. For instance, with the PlayStation 4, the PlayStation 4 that I got was the third revision, I guess, or second or third, because they changed the cooling system and everything inside, and it's a little bit, it's more silent a little bit, and it's slightly different build, and also they changed a little bit the casing. But in the end, normally you would have revisions where they changed some stuff. They can make them a little bit cheaper and also a little bit better, a little bit more reliable, and normally you would get at some point a slim version, which is, of course, like the name already mentions, smaller or slimmer. Sometimes they don't use as much electricity / energy than the first model, but normally you don't have a lot of changes. And if we go even more back in the history, yeah, you had, like for instance with Sega, with the Sega Genesis, you had the Sega Genesis, then they came up with the Sega Mega CD or the Sega CD, then they came up with the 32X, and those were big changes. Most of the times those were accessories which would make the main console more powerful, but in the end you would get a new library of games which you couldn't play with the normal system. And now with the PlayStation 4.5 or PlayStation Neo, from all the information that I got so far and what Sony has told us, yeah, number one, I got a lot of different informations, because on one hand I've heard that the PlayStation Neo is going to be slightly more advanced or slightly more powerful in terms of CPU, RAM, I guess hard disk, and something else. And you would also get now, a Blu-ray drive, a 4K Blu-ray drive, so you can watch 4K Blu-ray movies if you have a 4K TV. And this was one side of the information, let's call it like that. And then I got some other informations where it says that I guess the GPU has now, in the final version, 4.2 T-flops or teraflops, which would make the system twice as much powerful as the original PlayStation 4. And yeah, in the end, the advantages that we would get with this PlayStation 4 Neo is better graphics. Some say 4K graphics. A lot of other people would say that with those technical specs that this system is going to have, you can get upscaled 4K graphics, so not real 4K graphics, but upscaled 4K graphics. And the performance for the VR games with the virtual reality headset would run more stable, a better performance, maybe even some better frame rates. And yeah, in the end it depends. I mean, on one hand I actually don't care that much, but on the other hand, if new games come out and all the video game designers are going to focus on this PlayStation Neo, for instance, and I mean, they said they're still gonna, all the games that will be available and playable on both systems, on the PlayStation 4 and on the PlayStation 4 Neo. But if the video game industry or the video game developers will really focus on the new system, it's kind of tough, because then we really are going to make a step from the consoles to the PC, because on the PC you have this a lot of times. There's a game that will be released or that is already released, and if you have a high-end PC, then you can play it with all the graphics, with the best graphics that are possible, with all the different shadows and details and pixels, a lot of pixels, 4K maybe even. And if you have not a high-end PC, then you have to go into the graphics options and deactivate a lot of stuff, make a lower resolution. And yeah, if we have this now or in the future with video game consoles, then it's not a very good future, let's say like that, because if we're gonna see then some games and you see the graphics, how the game looks on the PlayStation 4 Neo, and then of course the graphics are not that great on the regular PlayStation 4, then it's actually not that great. It's kind of a bummer. And honestly, then I myself would be pissed off because of this new change in technology, let's call it like that, because also both Sony and Microsoft said that this is not a new generation, even though if the specs are correct, then it's a pretty big advancement. They said that in the end, if they wanna give those people who have all those high-end stuff like 4K TVs another solution, or just another system which is the same generation as the current system but more powerful, so that they can enjoy even more better graphics or anything. But yeah, right now it's hard to say, because none of those systems are released already, and if they are released, then we have to see what the future brings us in terms of how the video game developers will react to those new systems. And it's also the same thing again with Microsoft. I mean, they're gonna release the PlayStation Xbox One Slim, which is a lot. It now looks more It has about the same size as the PlayStation 4. This is pretty cool. I think also like the look because it's a white console, and they also the PlayStation 1 Slim is also going to have a 4K Blu-ray drive, and it will also have some slightly advanced technology inside, and now it will also have HDR, which what I've understand is that the console has more colors for the games, and more impressive colors. They are more powerful, let's call it like that. So the games will look also a little bit better than on the normal Xbox One, and more. I guess it gets a slightly more realistic touch, the graphics. So this is also actually pretty cool. And yeah, normally you didn't have this with the other slim systems, and of course the Project Scorpio will be even more powerful than the PlayStation Neo, at least from what I've heard so far. And the PlayStation the Xbox One Project Scorpio will going to have 6 teraflops for the GPU, and according to the internet, this is 4 times as powerful as the already existing Xbox One. So yeah, honestly, right now I actually don't have any real opinions about the PlayStation Neo, because yeah, we have to wait and see what is going to happen. So a pretty long answer, I know, and I actually didn't really answer it, but this is the best that I can give you. Next question: what do you think are the best games for the years 2015, 2016? Yeah, even though I don't have that many games, and I already mentioned in part 1 that I'm very picky, or not much of the current games that are available right now, especially for the current generations of consoles that we have, don't get me that excited, but I still can say this is a good game, and or this is one game that I think is really good. And yeah, which games do I find really good from the best games from 2015 and 2016? Now, number 1 of course is Fallout 4. Then I would also say Until Dawn is also a pretty cool game, even though I personally haven't played it yet, but I've watched my fiance play it a couple of times, and it looks really cool. It's has a lot of jump scares and is pretty creepy, so this is also one game that I would say is a pretty good one, or one of the best ones from 2015. Then I would also say The Witcher 3, even though I haven't played it yet, but I've seen a lot of stuff, I've watched a lot of reviews, and it really looks cool. Atmosphere, everything, storytelling, pretty cool game. Then I would also say Batman Arkham Knight. Again, I think it's also one of the best games from 2015. And Metal Gear Solid 5, even though it has some let's say negative stuff, but in the end, again, I haven't played it yet, but from what I've seen, it looks like a pretty cool game. So those are the games that I would say are the best ones from 2015, 2016, even though, yeah, I guess all games that I've mentioned are from 2015. Next or last question from Bouncer86. I don't understand why you have such few subscribers. Why do you think that is? Yeah, if I got a lot of ideas, or let's say there are a lot of points why I would think I have so few subscribers, and I know the problems, let's call it like that, but I can't talk about this answer in too much detail, because then I would talk, I guess, an hour just to answer this one question. But I've wrote down some points why I know that I have not that many subscribers. Now, number 1, I'm a reviewer, and I'm one of many reviewers out there. Especially also when I started, there were a lot more reviewers and more retro reviewers, which reviewed a lot of old stuff. A lot have already stopped making any videos or anything, but still today I'm one of many reviewers. So yeah, this is one reason why I think I don't have that many subscribers. Then number 2, yeah, I don't review the very popular stuff. I don't, especially when I started, I didn't review the Nintendo Entertainment System. I didn't review the Super Nintendo, the Super NES or Super Nintendo Entertainment System. I didn't review the N64 or the Sega Mega Drive, Sega Genesis. Those are the really popular systems, and a lot of times it's that even though people know a lot about those systems and about some of the games, let's say Super Mario Brothers for instance, they still wanna watch those reviews especially because I think they want to identify themselves with other persons because they like those games or Zelda or whatever. And yeah, I guess this is also one of those reasons why I don't have that many subscribers, because a lot of other reviewers reviewed the very popular stuff. Also, I mean, today the Nintendo Entertainment System and the games for it and everything is still popular, but not that popular as it was a couple of years ago, where this retro boom really took off. I mean, we still have a retro boom, but it's not as big as it was a couple of years ago. So in the end, my reviews, I've already reviewed a lot of stuff, and the most of the stuff that I've reviewed so far is maybe not that popular, or not that many people know about it. Then the next reason is, I don't upload constantly. So for me to release a new review, I need about 1 to, let's say, 1.5 months, which is a very long time, especially on YouTube. A lot of people who are really successful, they have to be successful, or to keep being successful, they upload at least 1 video a week. And I still think this is one of those special points. If you upload constantly videos, or in a short period of time, then this is one of those recipes to get more popular on YouTube. So I guess if I could manage to make a review every week, I would be a lot higher, or a lot further with my subscribers. But in the end, I can't do it, especially not those reviews that I make with a lot of details and everything. And the last reason, or the last point that I wrote down, is compared to a lot of other reviewers, my videos are super long. Sometimes they are even a lot longer than I wanted them to be. But in the end, most of the times it takes me that much time to get all those informations out, or in a video. So if you look at other reviewers, a lot of more popular system reviews, for instance, are pretty short. I mean, there are people out there, reviewers, who can manage to review an entire system in 5 minutes, which is not bad. I mean, the fact that they are able to make this in 5 minutes is impressive, actually, for me. And a lot of times they also manage to put in a lot of information in those 5 minutes. But this is too short for me personally for an entire system. And especially I've already have mentioned this a couple of times, I make those reviews in the way that I want to see reviews from other reviewers / from different systems. And in the end, if I watch a review, I'm glad if the reviewer puts in as much information as possible. Sometimes some informations are even not interesting for me, but in the end I like more informations more than less informations. And a lot of people, they might click on one of my reviews and then they see how long this video actually is, and or other people don't actually click on my reviews because they see, oh my god, he's going to talk 30 minutes about this one game. No thank you, this other person just talks 6 minutes about this video. This would be enough for me. So in the end, I guess this is also a pretty big reason why I don't have that many subscribers. And one point that I didn't wrote down, which just came to me, is that I don't really use the YouTube search, or I don't really know, especially at least not anymore, how to, let's say, manipulate the YouTube search. Because a couple of months or maybe even years ago, some people, and they still know how to work those YouTube search, the search options. If you put in the right words in the title or the right words in the description and everything, then if somebody would search for, let's say, Amiga 500, if they have the right words in the title and in the description, and somebody would search on YouTube for Amiga 500, they are at least on the first page of the result that they get. And if you just put in some titles of games or systems that I have reviewed, and you go on the YouTube, you search for me on YouTube, not with my channel name, just type in the system that I have reviewed and then search for my videos. They are a lot of times on page 5, 6, 7, so it's not that easy for people who don't know my channel to actually find my channel. Okay, but this is now enough for this last question from Bounce86. We continue with 13 Grey Fox 13. Morning and greetings from MV. Thanks for the greetings, but I actually don't know what MV means. You make great videos, thanks, keep it up. My question, will you make videos about systems from Nintendo or Sony? Yes, I think this is going to happen in the future, but Sony was not that. All the Sony systems that I have weren't that, let's say, that retro or that old in the last years for me, that I thought, hey, I'm gonna do a review about the PlayStation 1, which is of course retro, and even I guess you can also say the PlayStation 2 becomes retro already, but in the end I haven't really thought about making a review about Sony consoles in the last years. And about Nintendo, first I actually didn't want to review any of the Nintendo consoles because everybody else already has made a review about the NES, Super Nintendo, about the N64, even though the N64 I got, I guess, 2 years ago. Before that I wasn't interested in that system, and also about the Nintendo GameCube or anything. I didn't had that much interest. On one hand, I had not that much interest in the console itself, or I didn't want it to not be a copycat, but so many other people have done this before, and I didn't want to do it. And then there was a time where I thought, okay, I'm still not going to review any of the systems because a lot of people had problems with Nintendo directly, because Nintendo flagged their reviews, or they took away the people's monetization and actually put in their made that Nintendo would get the money from the monetization, even though a lot of times, which is a huge problem even today, the algorithm from the YouTube search that they have, if you have copyrighted material or anything, it's a program, it's not a person, and a lot of people were flagged, which was ridiculous. But in the end, there were a lot of problems with Nintendo. With Sega there were also a lot of problems, but not directly with systems. There were some problems with games, but in the end, I can't tell you when I'm going to review one of the Sony systems or Nintendo systems, but I'm sure it's going to happen in the future, that I'm also going to make a couple of reviews of Nintendo systems and also Sony systems. Next questions come from Gerok Grey Malkin, and he writes: Dear Retro Gambler, I have 2 questions concerning you and your channel. Number 1, do you need any graphic design work done for your videos and web appearance, like for instance overlays, logos, bars, etc.? If yes, contact me. I'll gladly I gladly be of your assistance again. Thanks, Gerok. Yeah, if I have a job for you, then you know that I'm going to write you and let you know that I need something more, because he is the guy who made the new Retro Gambler logo, which I'm gonna show right here, for my channel. So thanks, and if I have some work for you to do, then of course I'm gonna let you know. And number 2, is there a possibility in the future to see you on other internet formats, like for instance live streams, Twitch, or special shows with guests? That's it for now. The well wishes for your anniversary will follow on the actual day. Thank you, take care. Thanks. I don't think so. I mean, I have nothing to do with Twitch and streaming and everything, and inviting a special guest. I would not know what the topic of the video would be and who this special person would be. So special guest. And yeah, other internet formats, no. I get right now I don't have any plans for anything like that, so I don't stream Twitch or whatever. And yeah, it could happen, but in the end I would need an idea for such a video with a special guest, but right now there's nothing in planning. Next question or questions come from Independent Dev Prod, and he asks, I've got 2 questions for you. Number 1, on your widescreen CRT, did you even get any light gun games to work? Because I can't do it for the life of me. Yes, I actually had no problems at all. I guess the reason why you can't you aren't able to play a light gun game on your CRT might be the reason because your widescreen CRT might have 100 Hertz, and if so, you need a light gun that supports or that works actually on a 100 Hertz CRT TV, because a lot of the other the normal light guns, like for instance the NES Zapper or the Justifier for the Sega Mega Drive or whatever, they only work on 50 or maybe even 60 Hertz CRT TVs. And if you have a 100 Hertz CRT TV, then those light guns will never work. Exceptions are if you have, like for instance with the Nintendo Wii, the Wii remote and everything, they work not directly with the television, they have a sensor bar. And the Philips CDI, for instance, the light gun which is called the Peacekeeper, this light gun also works with one of those sensor bars. And in the end, if you have a light gun with a sensor bar, then you can play actually any games on any TV, projector or anything. But if your CRT TV has 100 Hertz, then you need a light gun which also supports a 100 Hertz. Yeah, sorry, 100 Hertz TV. You need a light gun that also supports 100 Hertz. This is the basic answer, and I guess this is the reason why you're having issues with your light gun. And secondly, do you have any pro tips for fixing scratched CDs and DVDs? The only tip that I can give you is go to one of those shops that can fix those CDs / that shops that repair those CDs. They scrape down a thin layer of the CD and then those CDs will work. I have tried to polish CDs, which worked actually. It took me a long time, but on 2 CDs I was able to remove a lot of scratches. from a CD with polish, but in the end I had the same loading problems afterwards that I had before with those scratches, and in the end I still don't know till this day if the loading problems are because of those scratches. But in the end I wasn't able, even with polishing, to make those CDs work properly again. So in the end my tip would be, go to one of those shops that can repair or scrape down a thin layer of your DVDs and get them fixed there. Yeah, a lot of questions come from the next person, Kier. He actually sent me a huge catalog of questions, but he also said that I don't have to answer each question. I should pick out the questions that I want to answer. But in the end, I've chosen a lot of answers, a lot of questions to answer. And he says, "Hi Garen, a little questionnaire. You don't have to answer everything, like I said before, just select the questions that are interesting to you. Number 1, do you have a holy grail of game, one that you're desperately looking for or that is too expensive for you?" I thought a long time about it, but in the end, yeah, maybe I'm forgetting something, but there isn't any real holy grail out there that I desperately search for. There are some games which I'm already searching for a couple of years to find a good copy for a good price. For instance, for the Commodore Amiga, the game Wings of Fury, which is a classic. It wasn't only released on the Amiga, it was also released on the PC. But this is one game that I'm looking for. Normally people try to sell it for 150 to 200 euros if you can actually find it on eBay, but this is too much money actually, in my opinion. Then another game is Metal Masters on the Game Boy. I have the Commodore Amiga version, but I really want to have it for the original Game Boy. It's pretty rare, or at least it shows up pretty rarely on eBay, and if it actually shows up, then it's only the cartridge, and also it's not cheap or anything. But in the end, I want to have the game complete, and maybe someday I can get it. And the only other game that I can think of, which I'm also on the search a couple of years now, is Castlevania for the Commodore Amiga, because it's not a great port actually. It's okay with a lot of loading times. But this is also one game that I would like to have for my collection, but it's also pretty, today at least, it's a pretty rare game. But yeah, I can't think of a holy grail in terms of a video game. Number 2, will you eventually bring yourself to do a personal top 10? Like for instance, top 10 game soundtracks, top 10 first-person shooters, top 10 controllers, etc, etc. Like I said before, I've thought about it a couple of times, and maybe I'm able to do one of those videos in the future. Right now I don't have any plans for it, but it can happen. Next question, what is your favorite genre? Jump run, first person shooter, point and click adventures, etc. Right now I would say first person shooters and RPGs, but also not every RPG. I actually prefer first-person RPGs, like for instance Fallout 4, or the Fallout games, Fallout 3, Fallout New Vegas, Fallout 4, or the Elder Scrolls games. Back in the days, I actually loved jump-and-runs, action games, most times side-scrolling action games / shooters, racing games and flight simulators. This was a long time ago, but today it's first person shooters and RPGs. Next question, do you visit retro conventions where you can often buy old games and hardware, and if so, will you maybe make a video documentation of it? I don't visit a lot of retro conventions because we don't have that many retro conventions at least in Vienna. And also, like I said in part 1, most of the times I hear about those conventions or events after they have already happened. So yeah, I don't visit a lot of them. I like them if I hear about them and I have some money to spend, then I gladly go there and look around and see if I can find something for my collection. And one of those retro conventions happened 2 years ago where I went, and I thought about it, at least making some video with my handy, but in the end, yeah, I decided against it, mostly because a lot of times what happens, at least what I've noticed in yeah, on German videos or videos in the German language from Germany or from Austria, is that if you go to one of those conventions and you record the stuff, to be on the safe side you have to record downwards, basically only showing the stuff that those peoples are selling, only the tables with all the goodies, let's say it like that, because a lot of times it happened before that people showed yeah, a lot of stuff from those conventions, and you could see, of course, a lot of peoples, maybe some cross-dressers, or not cross-dressers, sorry, how do you say it? You know, people in costumes from popular video game series or anything, and yeah, it happened to them that they had to take their video down because some people were writing to them, hey, I've seen myself in your video, I don't give you any permission for that, so you have to take it down or I take some legal actions against you. And in the end, yeah, this is something that's I don't want to risk that I do something like that, which is actually it's pretty stupid of those persons, because I mean, yeah, okay, you can see this person in this video. It would, the only reason why I would think I would do such a thing to somebody who makes such a video would be if I would be cheating on my wife or anything, and you can see me there with my girlfriend or anything, then I would understand it. But normally, hey, you can see me in this video. I mean, yeah, it's kind of ridiculous. But in the end, at least at that time where I thought about it, I decided against it. I didn't want it to run around at this convention recording stuff. Then I don't want it to have to worry about can you see some person in there or anything. So I don't think if I will visit one of those retro conventions again that I maybe record something. I don't think this is going to happen, but yeah. Next question. Is there a game that you loved as a child, but now as an adult you hate it? Sorry. No, I actually could not think of a game that I hate today that I loved as a child, but what I noticed, and I guess I'm not the only person that noticed something like that, is that especially if I review some games and I play those games and to get the video material for the review, I notice a lot of times that I lost my skills at a lot of games. Because it happens really a lot of times. I play a game which I could play blindfolded basically and still beat the game perfectly back in the days, and today I make a review about it and I review it, and I can't beat the first level or anything, and just after some training and playing the game over and over again, I get some of those skills back, but no. So I at least I can't think of any title or any game that I hate right now that I actually loved as a child. Next question, who is the best video game hero? I like a lot of the video game heroes, but I don't really have a favorite. I mean, I like the Sir Daniel Fortescue is pretty cool from Medieval. I like the Bard from The Bard's Tale. Yeah, Kratos is cool and Solid Snake, but I actually don't have a favorite. And who is the best video game villain? For me, actually, the best video game villain is Albert Wesker from Resident Evil, but yeah, he still lives in my mind because I don't include Resident Evil 5. So until Resident Evil 5, Albert Wesker, cool, and he still lives for me in this universe. Next question, which game was the most scary for you? So which is the game that I think is the most scary? Again, another question where I don't really have at least a favorite answer. There are some games which I think are pretty scary, and yeah, sometimes you have scary because they scared me, mostly because they have some jump scares in them. Like for instance, yeah, Until Dawn, I actually would say is a pretty scary game because it has some of those jump scares, and it is also it also has some creepiness to it. But what I would also say was pretty scary or creepy, at least at that time when I played it, was Resident Evil 2 and also actually Resident Evil 3, especially when Nemesis is always trying to hunt you down. This is what was pretty intense and a little bit creepy, and also especially the one time where he actually came through the wall, which was really surprising, which was pretty cool. And on the other hand, I have some games, like for instance, It Came from the Desert, and this for me is really creepy because of the great music. Even today, I can honestly say, even today, if I play it at night with no lights on and I play this game, just the music alone is so creepy, and while playing I sometimes look back because I think there's somebody there, even though I know it's silly, there's nobody there, but you get some kind of childish fears, let's call like that. So those are the ones where I would say they are pretty scary, or at least creepy enough. And also one game which I haven't shown you yet, the first Silent Hill game was also pretty scary, with the fog and with the radio, and the scenery change from normal world to this creepy Silent Hill world was really a pretty scary or creepy game. Next question, Mortal Kombat or Street Fighter? I've played both games or game series a lot, especially back in the days, but I have to say I like Mortal Kombat a little bit more because of the brutality, let's call it like that, even though it's too over the top to be anything to worry about. But in the end, my personal choice is Mortal Kombat over Street Fighter. And next question, Sonic or Mario? In terms of games, I like the Mario games a lot more than the Sonic games. Both characters actually, yeah, I don't care much for those characters, but yeah, gameplay or gaming, in terms of the games, I like the Mario games, because in Sonic I think it's cool if you're good at the game that you can fly basically through the levels, but I'm not that good in those Sonic games, and I actually hated that the guys faster than the level, and a lot of times by the time you see an enemy you already have ran into them. So yeah, in terms of games I like Mario games, I prefer Mario games over Sonic games. In terms of characters I actually don't care about both of them. Next question, do you play any board or role play games apart from digital entertainment? Today not that much anymore. I've completely stopped with role-playing games. I played some role-playing games back in the days. We played Star Wars, we played Das Schwarze Auge, which is translated The Black Eye, which is based on the Dungeons and Dragons actually. And yeah, another, we tried some which was the name, Vampire the Masquerade. We tried it out, and yeah, we also played another role-playing game which basically you can say a friend of mine created about X-Men. But today I don't play any of those role-playing games anymore because I don't have actually that much time and energy for those games. And board games, yeah, of course we play also some board games, not that much or that often, but we also like to play let's say Activity is okay, Trivial Pursuit. One game that is pretty cool, which we don't have, which we got I guess last year, is called Epidemic. It's a pretty cool strategy game where you have to cure the world from diseases. It's a pretty cool game. Still something, yeah, Clue is also, this is really one of my favorites, Clue. So yeah, I also play some board games, but I don't play any role-playing games anymore. Next question. Which great game do you think has been overlooked and is your personal insider tip? This is also one thing that I thought about a long time actually, and yeah, I found a game, but it's not really insider, because a lot of times you think, hey, nobody knows about this game, but in the end tons of people know about this game. But I came up with a different answer, or did I? Yeah, let's say it. And I actually have a little story with it, because the game that I talk about is this one. This is MechAssault for the original Microsoft Xbox, and I bought it back in the days. I don't actually know from which year it is. 2002. Yeah, I guess it's 2002. So the game was released in 2002, and I actually think I saw it in 2003. But anyways, I was at one of those big electronic stores, and this was at the beginning of my collecting, and most of the times I was in one of those stores and I looked around if there's a game that I wanted to have for my current system, which was the original Xbox. And I've seen this game, and I thought that this might be just a new game of the Mech Warrior series. Sorry, one of those. This is Mech Warrior 2. This is a game that I loved back in the days, and it's pretty cool because it's a mech simulator, and tons of action and pretty cool with cool music. And back in the days it had some impressive graphics, and when I've seen MechAssault, I thought, hey, cool, a new Mech Warrior game, which of course it's MechAssault, not Mech Warrior, but I thought, hey, it looks cool, let's give it a try. Now I've bought the game, and when I got home I tried it out, I played it, and I was super disappointed. Because the main reason why I was disappointed was because it's a game from a third-person perspective, and the original Mech Warrior games were games from a first-person perspective, but you could also change the camera to third-person. But I like those games in a first-person perspective, so I didn't play it much. I just tried it out once, and then it went into my game shelf. And months later, I was bored, I wanted to play a game, and I thought I'd give this a second try. And the funny thing was, the second time that I tried this game, I immediately fell in love with this game. And I actually, except for the fact that I was disappointed it didn't have a first-person perspective or a cockpit perspective. I don't know what disappointed me about this game, because the music is cool, the story is not that impressive or anything, but it's also okay. But in the end, the graphics are so cool. A lot of the particle effects, the explosions, this was really a cool game for me back in the days. I still think it's a very cool game today. And I know people know about this game, and if you're a fan of action games, science fiction action games, then this is one game that I would recommend you. And the funny thing was, shortly after I've beaten the game, because after I've tried it out the second time and I fell in love with this game, I beat it, I guess, in 2 days or anything, or something like that. And either a short time afterwards, or it was already out, I also bought the second part, Mechasoul 2 Lone Wolf, which is also pretty cool. It got some new features, like for instance, you can like in Titanfall, you are a guy, and you can actually change from mech to mech on the battlefield. So they included a lot of stuff in the second part, and also the second part is pretty cool. So actually, yeah, to answer this one question a little bit different, this series or those two games are, I guess, some hidden tips, or what is that? This is a personal insider tip from myself, let's say it like that. Personal insider tip. Yeah, next question. If you think of cheats, which one comes first to mind? One of my favorite cheats, and I personally found out about this cheat, and honestly there is not that many information, or I can't think of any website where you can get this cheat. The game is Mad TV for the Commodore Amiga. But it was also released on the PC. Also, the cheat works on the PC, and both versions are actually identical. This is an economy simulation. This is also a game that I wanted to review for a couple of years, but I still haven't come to it. And basically, what it is, it's an economy economy simulation where you have to manage a TV station, and you are in charge of what movies are going to be aired. You have to manage the news section, the advertising, because you learn that from the advertisements that you get the money to run this movie station, and or TV station actually. And it's a cool game. It's actually one of my favorites. And the funny thing is, you can cheat because it's in this game you have to go to different places. You have to buy, or you have to make the contracts with the advertising agency, and so on and so on. And of course, you also have to buy movies that you can show on your on your TV station. And when you are in the room with the person that sells you the movies, you have you have not luggage. You have a briefcase, and in this briefcase, if you have took some movies from your archive to sell them, then you have them in this briefcase. And actually, if you buy movies, then you also have to put them in your briefcase. And the funny thing is, if you move with the cursor to the bottom right corner of this briefcase, there you will find this cheat, because then all of a sudden it will appear that there's a movie which is super expensive. And if you click on it, then you will have, out of the air, this super expensive movie. And basically what you can do is you can summon this movie and sell it over and over again, and you get so much money where I actually don't know what to do with this money. And the funny thing is, number one, this cheat changes from day to day, because in this game, of course, you play day by day, and every day there will be another movie. And one other thing is that you if you don't have a movie in the briefcase and you use this cheat, it can happen very easily that the game will crash while you're using this cheat. But if you make sure to buy one of the cheaper movies first, or you have some movies from your archive with you in the briefcase, and then you basically click on this cheat, then one of the movies, or the one movie that you have in the briefcase, will become this very expensive movie. And then you can use this cheat over and over again. The game will not crash or anything. And this is actually my favorite cheat, because I was the one who came out, and not who came up with it, but who found this cheat. And I've actually never have read online or in any one of the video game magazines back in the days about this cheat before. And I also had a couple of different versions of this game, and it's this cheat works in every version. So I guess this is kind of a leftover from the programmers, but it's a pretty funny cheat actually, in my opinion. And this is the one that if I hear about cheats, this is the first one that comes to mind. If you could, next question, if you could have a real arcade game or pinball table, which one would it be? Yeah, of course, if I could wish about one, then it would be the Firefox Laserdisc sit-down arcade cabinet, which is a rail shooter, which is today super rare. I read somewhere online that there are 5 known in existence, and all of them are in a strong collector hand, so this will never happen anytime. But in the end, if I could have an arcade game, this would be the one. And actually also, if I could choose also a pinball table, then my father actually bought, I guess 8 years ago or so, a pinball table, Dirty Harry, which was a really cool table, but he sold it long before I started collecting video games. But actually at that time nobody from our family played this pinball table anymore. But today it's kind of sad that we had a real pinball table in super condition. It worked perfectly. Yeah. And today it's gone because he sold it. But this was also a very, very cool pinball table. Next question. Will you ever do playthroughs? No, playthroughs, I guess I will not start doing any of those, especially because there are a lot of good playthroughs out there from almost every game. I thought about a long time making some let's plays, because there were some viewers out there who were asking if I could make a let's play of a game, and I thought about it. I actually wanted to do one, but yeah, I never got around it to really make one. And should it happen that I ever start making a let's play, I guess at least the first ones that I would upload more or less as a test, I would only make them in the German language, because it's a lot easier for me to play and talk, at least in my natural language, so in the German language. And it will also be kinda strange, it depends on the game, but some games, if I would play them in German and then again in English, or at least I talk about this game first in German or in English first. So maybe someday I will do some let's plays, but it's yeah. I don't know if I ever gonna do them, but it can happen that I try to start with a let's play just for the test or anything, but I don't make any I'm not going to make any playthroughs actually of games. Last question. Are there any especially cool, funny, or otherwise memorable moments from your life as a gamer that you'd like to share with us? And yeah, keep up the great work. I always like that some of your videos have cool Amiga background music, especially since the songs do not distract too much and aren't too loud. Thanks again, Cure and smiley face. Yeah, thanks for the feedback. And yeah, are there any cool, funny, or otherwise memorable moments? There's actually one story that I have, which is funny and for me actually a little bit embarrassing. Not everyone might get the reason why it's embarrassing for me or why it's actually funny, but it has to do with this game, with Wing Commander on the Commodore Amiga. Now, I don't talk about the graphics or anything, but let's say the Amiga version, the normal Amiga version of Wing Commander, especially if you play it on the Commodore Amiga 500, it's super slow, the frame rate. If you only fly around with nothing going on, then it's okay, but as soon as you get into a dogfight with an enemy ship, or maybe even with some bigger ships, yeah, then it becomes how do you say it? Then it becomes a slideshow, because an enemy ship will go like this. But I'm not judging right now the Amiga version of Wing Commander, and back in the days it didn't matter that the game ran so slow. I actually beat it on the Amiga 500. I don't know how, but in the end I've beat it back in the days. But the funny thing about this game and the story behind it is that I almost didn't become a Wing Commander fan. And the reason for that is, before I got Wing Commander, I played a lot of flight simulators, and this was the time where flight simulators were actually one of my favorite genres. Which doesn't mean that if I had a flight simulator game that I would play through this game. Most of the times I just loaded some of those flight simulators, especially if it was about a fighter jet. They would have a couple of missions. You could choose your mission, or in some cases you could actually make your own mission, and then I would pick one of the planes. Yeah. If I had the option, then I would select the weaponry, and then I would start the mission, fly around, do some crazy stuff in the air, try to destroy the targets that I have to destroy, or that I don't have to destroy, just play around a little bit and then maybe try to land this stuff. Anyways. And when I heard about Wing Commander in the video game magazines, I was pretty excited. It looked awesome and cool. And I only knew the game from screenshots. I never played this game or anything. And then they were always announcing that Wing Commander is also going to be released for the Commodore Amiga. And I waited and I waited and I waited. And then finally it came. And at that time I also played another flight simulator, which was B-17 Flying Fortress. I actually have it over there, somewhere up there. Oh, here it is. B-17 Flying Fortress. Nah, I leave it. And this is a pretty realistic flight simulator. You can control basically every one of the crew, board gunner or pilot or co-pilot, or Sanitäter, wie heißt das geachtet? The doctor or whatever. and so it was very realistic. The graphics of this game weren't that great. It was pretty basic, but it ran very fluent. But yeah, in the end you would choose a mission, you would fly. It's a pretty long mission, and yeah, and then if you're lucky, you bomb the target, and then you get back and you land the stuff. And when Wing Commander came, of course I noticed that the game was pretty slow. About graphics or colors or anything, it didn't matter to me, because this was the first time that I've played Wing Commander on the Commodore Amiga, and I actually thought that this is how the game was supposed to be played, because yeah, if you want to have those graphics in such a game, then the game reaches the limits of the system. This was the reason for me why I guessed that the Wing Commander was has such a slow frame rate, let's say it like that. But in the end, I've started with the first mission. I flew around. First mission is a patrol mission, so you fly to navigation point 1, then 2, then 3. There are some asteroid fields, and asteroid fields in Wing Commander, in the first one especially, are they are death traps almost all the time, especially if you don't have a real strategy how to get through the asteroid. So a lot of times, just in the first mission, I died a lot. Okay, then I finally managed to beat the first mission, and then the second mission came. And the second mission is an escort mission where I have to escort a transporter. And normally I don't know what kinds of speed ratings they have, but in the end you fly a Hornet. This is a small fighter, light fighter, which is pretty fast, and it can fly a maximum of 420, and I don't actually know the speed rating, so let's say 420 kilometers per hour. And in the second mission, where I have to escort this transporter, the transporter only flies 100 kilometers per hour, let's say it like that, or miles per hour. In the end it's not like that, because those are spaceships, they are pretty fast. And yeah, second mission, escort this transporter, and 100 is very slow. So I flew around and I escorted this transporter, and I thought, man, this game is not, it is boring because you don't have to do anything, and it's so long. And I thought, on the other hand, wow, this is so realistic, this game, because this is how it would be like in a fighter jet to escort a transporter. And somewhere after 20 minutes or so, of 10 minutes, you would be attacked by enemies or enemy fighters, and if I had luck, then I would actually succeed in escorting this transporter. But just for this mission, I guess it took me about 45 minutes. And yeah, after I was able to finish this second mission the first time, I forgot about that you can actually save your game. So I just turned off the computer. Then I came back and I tried it again, and then I realized, oh my god, the second mission is with this transporter. Okay, this time don't forget to save. And honestly, I guess about a year or so, or maybe half a year after I've got Wing Commander for the Commodore Amiga, which I actually was super excited about, and then I was disappointed because of this reality. One thing that I also should mention is that back in the days I didn't have the manual for the game, but in the end I wasn't a person who, even if I had the manual, I wouldn't read the manual. But it took me about half a year or maybe even a year to figure out in Wing Commander that you have an autopilot, and by pushing A, if no enemies or no dangerous obstacles like asteroids or mines are in your area, pushing the A button will activate the autopilot, and you will skip everything that is boring basically from one navigation point to the other. And actually for me, because I'm a huge Wing Commander fan of the Wing Commander series, again, my favorite game of all time is Wing Commander 3. This is kind of disappointing, embarrassing, because this is such a stupid mistake that I made. Or in my defense, I can honestly say I wasn't too dumb to read the manual, because I didn't have the manual. But it's a funny, looking back at it, it's a funny story for me personally, because how stupid can you be that you don't figure this out faster? But in the end, this is one thing. And also, even later on, when I really started to read manuals or anything, sometimes it can happen that I read over stuff, because, for instance, the first times that I play Fallout 3, I read the manual, because especially in more modern games, I wanted to know the controls before I actually play the game, so that I know how to work those controls in this game. I don't really want to learn it with a tutorial, which most of the times happens even though you don't want it or anything. But Fallout 3, I read the manual and I knew almost what each button can do. And the first week or so I played the game, every time I did go underground or walked at night or anything, I turned up the brightness very high on my TV. And only after this 1 week or so, I realized that one of the loading screens mentioned if you push, I guess, B button for a longer time, then you will activate the light on your Pip-Boy. And this is also kind of embarrassing, because I actually read the manual and I've overread this one function, and 1 week after I've played already the game, then I realized that you actually have a flashlight / the light from your Pip-Boy in this game, and then I didn't had to increase the brightness of the TV so much. So yeah, here you have a couple of embarrassing stories from me, or funny stories. Okay, we come to the next questions. The next questions come from Ronald Marty. And since I am an Austrian, is there a retro scene in Austria / Vienna? I realized that there are thousands of retro collecting videos on YouTube that are in English, but there's only a few in German. And this is the first question. Yeah, I guess there is a retro scene in Vienna, and I'm sure in Austria there might be actually a couple. I know that, I don't know how many, but actually I know that there are a lot of video game collectors, at least in Vienna. But not that many have a YouTube channel, or not a lot of people know that they have such a collection. Because, for instance, my friend Peter, he has no YouTube channel or anything, and he has a really big collection. And actually I asked him if he would be okay that someday I might record a little bit of his collection, and that we talk a little bit about his collection. But yeah, the problem is that he doesn't have the place, he doesn't have a room like I have to show his whole collection. So it's the whole collection is scattered all over the places, in different rooms, and yeah, also he actually has a little bit of stuff in at work, in his office, and at some other places. And he said he would only accept to make those videos or anything if he would ever have yeah, a game room like mine, or a room where he could really show his collection, or in a good order, like in shelves or anything. If everything was clean and everything, then he would do this. But in the end, I think, yeah, there are some retro scenes, or at least a retro scene about video games in Austria and in Vienna, and I know that there are actually a lot of video game collectors out there, but there are not a lot of people who make YouTube videos or any kinds of videos for the internet. So this might be one of the reasons why there are not that many, or it's more popular in the United States, in Canada, in UK, or or for other people who speak the English language, maybe also as a second language. But yeah, I know that there are not that many people in Austria, in Vienna, who actually make videos about retro video games. So I guess this is halfway decent answer for this question. And do you play the games, or are you a collector for the sake of collecting only? There are many retro collectors who collect like crazy but don't play the games. I always think that's very strange. And sadly, I guess I'm one of the person that gets more and more just a collector and not a gamer. I do play a couple of the games that I actually get for my collection, but most of the times, sadly, if I do this, I just test the games and I see, hey, it works. Okay, I put it now in one of my shelves, and I think that yeah, someday if I don't have that much to do, then I'm gonna play it. But many times this doesn't happen, or it never will be happening. So yeah, it's not with every game that I get, or with any system that I get, and sometimes it could also happen that I'm interested in a game, I get it, I try it out, and then I see, nah, it's not that great, or not as great as I thought. So yeah, I don't want to play it again. But in the end, I understand those collectors. I know it's strange, but collecting can also be an illness, and it's like yeah, it's the same thing like with alcoholics, with smokers like myself. We need another fix, and for some people it can actually become a real illness. Collecting, it actually doesn't matter if you collect video games or other stuff, but with collectors in general, if you're not careful and you get carried away, also collecting video games can become a real illness, and then you are always constantly on eBay or on Amazon or on in video game stores or whatever, and you buy just for the sake that you get a quick fix, basically. Because if you buy a game, then you are happy, maybe the body puts out some endorphins or anything, you get a little high, and you feel glad and everything is cool. But this only will last a short period of time, and then you need to get another one and another one and another one. And yeah, so collecting can be an illness. Some collectors are actually at that level. If you are careful, then it's not that's dangerous or anything, but even if you are careful, there's still yeah, there's still something to it, that even though you don't really play those games, you want to have them for your collection, and you're not just on the search for just a quick fix or anything. Pretty dark answer. but in the end, yeah, I understand it if it happens to other collectors, that they just collect and collect and collect and collect and collect, and gaming is almost not existing anymore because they just wanted to collect for the sake of collecting. I understand it, and it's not 100% in my case, but a lot of the stuff that I get, I actually don't play anymore, or maybe I wait until I have a bunch of games for this one system, and then I will connect this system, and then I try out all the games that I've got so far. For instance, the last couple of months or anything. But yeah, to answer this question, I still play a couple of games, but not a lot. So for the most part, I also collect because of my collection. But I actually have another excuse, because I play a lot of games because of YouTube, because I make the videos, and I also buy some of the stuff, especially because I want to make a video for YouTube. This happened a couple of times when I made one of those system reviews that I thought about, hey, I'm gonna review this system, and then I think about, hey, wait, I always wanted to have this game for this system, and I would really like to show it for this review, and then I switch the priorities of my collecting just to get this one game or two games or whatever, or the controller or system, because I want to do this review. Okay, next question or questions come from Wolfgang Meyer, and he writes, first of all, kudos to your channel and the effort you put in. Thumbs up. Now to my question. I already had two tele games before the Atari 2600. Unfortunately, I cannot remember the manufacturer or the classification. One was a simple Pong clone, and the second one had several games. Do you also have pre-Atari telegames in your collection, and does one of them by any chance include a game where you have to jump over a ramp as a biker / motorcyclist? Because I can still remember the game. And yeah, smiley face and greetings from Salzburg. Greetings back, and thank you for your feedback. I have two systems which are Pong consoles, which are from the time before Atari 2600. I have this one. This is a Spectrum 6. This is Peter gave me one of his because he had two or three. He had two at that time, 2 units. But it's I know it's kind of broken, or it misses something. Actually, I haven't checked it. Yeah, at least it misses one of the knobs on one. Yeah, it might still work. I haven't tried it out yet, but there was something wrong with this one, I know. So this is one of the Pong consoles that I have, and the other one that I have is this one. Careful. And Odyssey 2001. Those are my only Pong consoles that I have, or systems that I have, which are pre Atari 2600, and I know one Atari Pong or Pong system which actually was released by Atari, which has such a bike game, and the thing was called Stunt Cycle, which is a pretty old one. This is from 1975. Today it's a pretty rare one, but this would be a guess of mine, where you actually have to jump over ramps on such a Pong console, at least. I mean, there was some Stunt Cycle game from Tommy, which was a tabletop game, and of course afterwards, or not on the Atari 2600, but afterwards there were also some games where I have to do some stunts with a biker. So my best guess for this Pong console that you are looking for might be Stunt Cycle from Atari 2600, from Atari from the year 1975, not Atari 2600. But if any one of you out there have another guess or a better guess than mine, then please feel free to write it down in the comments so that we can help maybe Wolfgang Meyer to find this one system, and maybe he also wants to start collecting. And we come to the last questions, which come from the Game Sammler. And he says, okay, you want questions? Here they are. Smiley face. What is your opinion on the virtual reality hype? Honestly, I think it's cool, and I think it's actually a good idea, but it's also like with the PlayStation Neo, it's too early to really judge this hype. What I think is cool is that we already had this virtual reality hype before in the 80s and 90s, but yeah, and the industry actually listened to the people. They wanted virtual reality, but the technology wasn't ready, because virtual reality was kind of possible, but it was super expensive. And I remember that they actually had, there were some virtual reality cafes where they built yeah, those small sections where you basically get strapped in, like with the movie the Lawnmower Man or anything, that you have this big giant virtual reality helmet on, and you are yeah, in some kind of yeah, basically strapped in some kind of area, and then that you don't fall over or break yourself anything. So I think it's cool that we have this hype again, and today we actually have, as it looks like, we have the technology, and it's also not that super expensive anymore. But who knows, it could be just a pretty fast fading idea or hype, because it could be the same thing like with the motion controls with Nintendo Wii, for instance, and with PlayStation Move and everything, and Kinect, those kind of controls. Because at first, especially with the Nintendo Wii, everybody thought it was cool, everybody bought a Wii and played Wii Sports, and after a short time it got old, even though the motion sensor controls were improved and were made more advanced and more accurate. And or another example with all the instrument controllers, so with the Guitar Heroes, this was also a huge hype, and they were releasing one Guitar Heroes after another. Same thing also with the karaoke games with SingStar. Short, huge hype, and then nobody cared anymore. So I actually hope that the virtual reality hype is going to be around for a longer time, so that the industry would spend money for cool games, cool accessories, and maybe with time the accessory gets more and more cheaper. So right now my opinion is let's see what happens, and I'm actually not against it. I'm looking forward to virtual reality. To this day I haven't tried any of those virtual reality headsets. Even though I had one time I had the chance to try out the Oculus Rift, but I actually didn't want to stand in line and wait to get my turn on it. But I'm actually looking forward to the virtual reality hype, and let's see how long this hype actually lasts. Next question: which other YouTubers do you watch that are involved with retro? Smiley face. There are actually a lot of channels that I also watch which have to do with retro, but I will also say that I still like those channels. I still like watching their videos, but this doesn't mean that I always watch every video and I always like every video. But those are my those are the channels that I really like to watch. Two of them that I'm gonna mention right now are German YouTubers, and they of course make videos in the German language, which is Scorpius26. He makes the videos, the retro snippets, very cool reviews. He also does repair videos, pretty cool channel. And the second German channel is Pixel Kitsch, also pretty cool channel. And the other channels which I'm gonna mention right now are, of course, channels who make their videos in the English language. So I like GameSec, I like Spider1A, especially Spider1A, because he makes the TurboGrafx 16 gaming reviews. His goal was to review every TurboGrafx game out there, but he rarely makes any videos lately. But this is also a cool channel. Steve Benway, of course, Vectrex Rory, who is actually an Austrian. Yeah, he's also from Austria. He's actually, I think, also from Vienna, but he makes all his videos in the English language. The Half-Blind Gamer, Luke Morris 1, GameSteady 1, Happy Console Gamer, Pete Dorr, and sometimes I still like to watch Cinemassacre / The Angry Video Game Nerd. But those are just some of the channels that I still like to watch, which have to do with retro stuff. And we come to the very last question of this Q&A video. What game do you absolutely hate? And I thought about this question a long time, and yeah, honestly I didn't came up with a real answer, because I'm sure there were some games back in the days which I really hated, but today I can't think of a game that I really hate. I can think of some games which I don't like, and I've chosen 2 games, and one game I have already mentioned some time ago, and this was Die Hard Vendetta for the Nintendo GameCube. And this was the version that was released first. Afterwards they released a version for the Microsoft Xbox, and I guess also for the PlayStation 2. And maybe if I would play this game again on the Microsoft Xbox, at least because I know it was also released in this system, it might be a slightly better experience. Because first of all, the reason why I hate this game is, okay, number one, I had high hopes because it's Die Hard and it's a first-person shooter. Sorry. And yeah, I was disappointed because you don't like, for instance, you are in Nakatomi Plaza, you go through corridors, and you come across a lot of doors to other rooms, and in the end each door is closed, only one door is open. So it was too straight, let's say it like that. I don't really like the graphics that much. I said in one of my videos where I actually reviewed this game, I said that the game had graphics like on the Nintendo 64, which is not true. It has better graphics than on the Nintendo 64, but the graphics didn't do the Nintendo GameCube justice, and I really hated the controls, because I'm not a huge fan of the Nintendo GameCube controller. And yeah, especially with this game, I had a lot of troubles with aiming with the small stick, analog stick, and it was really painful for me playing through this game. So this is one of the answers that I have. Die Hard Vendetta is really a game that I don't like. And the other one that I've chosen is Killzone Shadowfall. I've beat this game about 2 weeks ago or so. I had some hopes for this game, and I really will say that graphically it's a beautiful looking game, but the rest of the game I actually don't like. I don't like the story. This revolution or whatever is happening in the game is not that interesting, especially for me. Some of the sections of the game are totally unfair and very frustrating, and this is also one thing that I know the Killzone series had in other games before. Some parts which were ridiculously hard and extremely frustrating, and this game of course also had a couple of sections where some of the fights were ridiculously hard. My fiance actually, because while she was on her computer, she was hearing how I was cursing while playing the game. And she said, if you hate this game so much, then why don't you just stop it? You know, you don't need to finish it. And I said, no, I have to beat this. I hate this game, but I have to beat it because it's a Killzone game. I've played every Killzone game before, and I also beat every Killzone game. This is, this is some stupid proud thing of myself, that I need to finish this game even though I hate it. And yeah, it was not a good game or anything. I didn't really like it. Sadly, it can happen that this is the last Killzone game that they will make, especially because I know that not that many people like this game, even though really graphically it's cool. It's very impressive with a lot of the lighting effects and everything. Graphically it's a cool game, and yeah, but the game itself, I didn't care much for the story. I thought it was a very boring story, that the characters weren't that exciting for me, and also a lot of the weapons were actually, a lot of them felt pretty strange, and the reason for me was because they didn't had, most of them were automatic firearms, machine guns, and they had only 30 bullets inside, so you would go through the magazines pretty quickly and you wouldn't make a lot of damage, or you wouldn't take out a lot of enemies, which it felt a little bit strange in this game. I don't know why, but I thought that the weapons weren't that great or that powerful actually in the game. Only the Gatling gun was pretty cool, but you rarely get it, of course. And if they ever would make another Killzone again, then I think they should go back to the ideas or the battles that they had in the first games, where the Hellgast was a real warrior race, a real threat, and you as the Alliance, I guess it was the Alliance, I actually don't know a lot of the history of the game anymore. So this would be one thing that I would think, that I would wish, if they would ever make another Killzone game again, that they would go back to the roots. But in the end they can't do this because of the storytelling, because how the story involves. The Hellghasts are not that big anymore. They lost the war basically, and yeah. But in the end, I don't really have a game that I strongly hate or anything. My most hateful game right now, I would say this one, but in the end, it's a game that I didn't like, and I forced myself to play through the game, but I don't have to play it again if I don't want it to. So those are actually all the questions that I got. A lot of questions and also very long answers from my side. I'm sorry for that, but I can't do it otherwise. And I also want to apologize that sometimes I might haven't used the right words, or that it took me a little bit longer to answer your questions, but I did the best that I could. And I really hope that I could answer your questions as to your satisfaction. And now we're at the end of this 6-year Retro Gambler Q&A video, part 2. Before I'm ending this video, I again wanted to thank all of you, all my viewers, all my subscribers, for your support, for your comments, for your feedback, for your critics, everything, and also for supporting my channel, for sharing to other websites or to other channels that, hey, there's the Retro Gambler, he makes reviews and maybe you want to watch them. And also for all the comments that I've gotten so far for part 1 of this Q&A video, and thanks again. I can only repeat myself. Thank you again for all your congratulations, comments, and I always try to reply to your comments, but a lot of times the only thing I can say back is thanks and my smiley face. It's a lot of times I don't know anything else that I can add to this reply, but yeah, still I try to reply to every comment that I get if there is something that I can actually reply, and I still just wanted to thank you again for all the support, for all the comments and feedback and everything. So thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the show. Maybe see you next time. Take care. Bye.